Well, goddamn, pressure's on today, isn't it, people? Holy smokes. Apparently, Daddy sent some people over. Good morning. Welcome to the Morning Night Live. And my alert box is going crazy today because a bunch of you are subscribing too. If you haven't, please do. You'll be okay. If you don't like it, you can always change your mind. Wow. So, there's a whole lot of new people in here today. You're going to, like I said, I hope you like what you see. I'm just going to play the intro and I'll be right back in a minute. Thanks. Ladies and gentlemen, coming to you live from the Lucky Dog studio in a hidden location somewhere in the upper Midwest of the United States of America. It's a brother making his own way, but with all the wrong opinions. Welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, PDawg Night. And stop the music. You know what? I'm going to have to turn that thing off. Holy smokes. Good morning and welcome to the Morning Night Live with your host, yours truly, me, Marty, also known as PDawg Night on the PDawg Night channel. Now, I know a lot of you here are new, maybe haven't been around a while. Apparently all my friends from the from Hard News Network all came at once today, thanks to some nice words from the Hard Bastard. So we're going to try to do some things that we haven't... what's the word that you haven't already talked about, because I was listening to HB while I was setting up my show today. So we'll do my best. First, let me do this quick Streamlabs super chat from Doug McCockiner. Doug McCockiner, thank you for the Streamlabs super chat. Pressure is on today, it says. My, oh my, it certainly is, isn't it? All right, so holy smokes, welcome everybody. The theme of the day is ask a stupid question. Well, so as you know, now what the hell, did I just turn my volume's fine. Now normally, by the way, it is Tuesday the 14th of April, 2020. And for those of you who are not familiar with the show, we're here every day, Monday through Friday, 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, 2 p.m. GMT for people in other parts of the world. And we just go through some news stories and we talk about what's trending on Twitter. And that's what we do here, okay? So that hopefully will help you figure it out. Now, normally, I'm scrolling through here trying to figure out how many people I got to say hi to. I'm not going to say hi to 105 people a day, but I will acknowledge the first few people who made it in the chat today. If you're first in the chat in my show, you get a bell, and that bell today goes to Maniac Man, who was here first. Also, Richo, Merle Davis, Grillin' Pirate Pete, Green Badger Outdoors, and Tyler F. Were early at the show, and then and also the first new person today that I hadn't seen before was Donatello Slap-a-Fellow. So welcome to the show. Also, all the new people. I see X-Bubba Hotep's here too. There's a whole bunch of people. I saw Becca Farley, who always does the nice job of tweeting out the show. By the way, I also tweet out the show on Twitter. If you want to follow me on that, right down there, Twitter, mine's Gabs. It's all the same, at PDawg Night. And I see TC Ball rolled in, one of my regulars. Good morning. Good morning, Richo. And holy smokes, all you need. I see a bunch of the regulars here and a lot of new people here. If you're not subscribed, hit the subscribe button and ring that bell to make sure that you are notified of the chats. And I just popped out another thing there. The tweet went out and all the other places it went out, so we're all good. So many of you yesterday saw, at least you've probably seen it by now if you're following the press briefings by the President of the United States. And it was kind of one of those, I don't know if I want to call it a shit show, but the President had some pointed video that he played for the media before the press conference, and it got a few people just a little bit triggered, just a tiny bit. Why is that thing up so loud still? I thought I turned that down. Okay, it's good enough. Anyway, so I want to talk a little bit about the press and the types of questions they ask, and because it always bothers me, the loaded, stupid questions they ask, and I've always been trying to put it into words. And So what I did, I've been watching some videos, and there's a guy on YouTube. He's a lawyer. He's a lawyer from Canada, a Canadian lawyer. And now before you automatically want to tune him out, he has some good things to say about loaded questions. So I want to share a part of this video by Viva Frey. Is it Viva Frey or Viva Fry? I'm not sure which one it is, but it is a very, very good video about loaded questions. And I'll show you part of it. And if you want, I'll throw that link in the chat too. In fact, I'll throw that in there right now if you want to right click this and save it for later. But it's a very good video about how loaded questions work. And so here, we're going to play this just a second here. And there we go. Viva Fry. All right. Now let's take a, oh, what happened there? It's off of kilter, but that's okay. We'll be all right. All right. You can see the whole thing. Here we go. Here's Viva Fry.
In which case the first half of the tweet is useless. But getting to the point in my response tweet, and this is something that reporters either don't understand.
Hang on a second. It's a little quiet there. I'm going to turn it way up because you know you can't hear it.
Because they're more interested in scoring political gotcha points in their press conferences than asking legitimate questions. Too many of the questions being asked by these reporters in these press conferences are totally loaded questions, the purposes of which are to make a point and not to discover information. And getting back to my introductory comment of this vlog, they are oftentimes questions that can be asked in the absence of the witness, which means that they are basically useless questions to be asking at a press conference. But don't take my word for it. Let's just go through a few concrete examples.
All right, now he's gonna go. You'll be familiar with most of these examples he does, but here we go.
Give it a shot.
Sir, what do you say to Americans who are upset with you over the way you downplayed this crisis over the last couple of months? We have it very much under control in this country. The coronavirus is very much under control in the USA. It's going to disappear. It's like a miracle. It will disappear. March 4th, we have a very small number of people in this country infected. March 10th, we're prepared. We're doing a great job with it. It will go away. Just
it just goes on and on and on. It's funny. And before he even goes on in this video, it is obviously he wants to make a speech. He wants to Acosta and a lot of these people, they're not asking questions. They're making speeches, and Viva Fry does a very good job explaining this. So listen there.
What do you say to Americans who believe that you got this wrong?
And I do want them to stay calm, and we are doing a great job. If you look at those individual statements, they're all true. Stay calm. It will go away. You know it is going away, and it will go away, and we're going to have a great victory. And it's people like you and CNN that say things like that, it's why people just don't want to listen to CNN anymore. You could ask a normal question.
Taking a question from Jim Acosta, some people might call that the easy target or the low-hanging fruit, and you gotta love Trump's sense of humor when he starts answering the question. Okay, let's give this a shot, Jim. Let's see if you ask a legitimate question this time.
Go ahead, let's give it a shot.
And then Jim Acosta asks this question, and he doesn't disappoint. What do you have to say to people who are afraid? What do you say to Americans who are upset with you? That is the definition of a loaded question because it is more of a statement than a question. In fact, it's actually one level more insidious than that. It's not just a statement. It is
sorry about the choppiness, gang.
It is a suggestion to people that they should be upset with Trump. It is a loaded question in that it presupposes a fact for some, makes a suggestion for others, and then proceeds to ask a question that is virtually impossible to answer. Acosta is not asking this question to get information out of Trump. He is just trying to ask this question to make Trump look guilty. Period. That's the definition of a loaded question. I mean, it would be just as efficient for Acosta to say, why should Americans hate you? And I know that there are a ton of Americans who in fact hate Trump. There are in fact a ton of Americans who are angry at the way Trump responded to this. But the purpose of a press conference is not to vent that anger. The purpose of a press conference, if it is being conducted by responsible reporters, is to get information to properly inform the public. What do you have to say to Americans who are angry with the way you respond?
All right, now he goes through a couple more examples here. I for some reason I'm having a little choppiness going on. Looks like I'm losing some frames. So we'll try to get that fixed while I'm talking. I think I just have too many windows open that have stuff on them. So I'm going to close some windows while I'm at it. Anyway, yeah. So yesterday, as you probably already know, there was another little issue at the press conference. So we're going to go through that. We're going to go through the PJ Media link here. And here we go. So, brutal Trump DeForest at the coronavirus hearing leaves media screaming, pull the plug. It was just kind of hilarious. Donald Trump absolutely. Oh, I missed it. Okay. I got you here. Donald Trump absolutely lit up his coronavirus Coronavirus Task Force press briefing with more than a 6-minute tour de force media takedown that had CNN and MSNBC sputtering and reaching for the plug. Trump said hello and turned the media briefing over to the NIH's Dr. Anthony Fauci to clarify his words uttered on CNN on shutting down the country early to prevent more deaths. Then Trump took over and it was on. It was on like Donkey Kong. He listed the timeline of his response to the coronavirus and presented a video of incorrect statements by the press on COVID-19. Now, you know how many... It seems like during this whole ordeal, no matter what Trump says, the press thinks it's their job to say the opposite. So when they're saying that, okay, 2 months ago you didn't do enough fast enough, you didn't close the country down fast enough. Oh, so you want Trump to be a dictator? And now Trump is saying, well, we want to open the country up, and I have authority to do that under the Emergency Powers Act. Oh. They don't want him to be a dictator when he's going to close the country down, but now they want him, they wanted him to be a dictator before, but now if he says he wants to close the country, open the country up, now we don't want you to be a dictator. In fact, Dictator Trump is trending on Twitter today. By the way, at the end of the show every day, we go through Twitter trends just to see what's happening in the planet, what's new, what's old, and so on. So anyway, let's keep going on this. So it was the most Trumpiest of Trump updates, and it was a Trump tour de force. So if you haven't seen it, we're gonna just pop this on here. It's about 6 minutes long, but it's definitely good theater.
That was earlier. Travel ban was done earlier. And if you look at statistics, I happen to write a couple of them down. If you look at statistics, so on January 6th, that's long before the dates you're talking about, CDC issued a travel notice for Wuhan, China, a notice, before there was even...
Wait, what did he say? Where is it from? Where's it from?
China is asshole.
Oh, yes. Okay, never mind.
A confirmed case of the virus in the United States. That's on January 6th. It's all documented because we have so much fake news. I like to document things. January 6th, long before the dates we're talking about, CDC issued travel notice to Wuhan, for Wuhan.
Now, out of curiosity, what government runs the CDC? I think that was the United States of America.
On January 11th, we have 0 cases in the United States. 0. We don't have any cases. So there are no cases reported that we know of. This is January 11th. The CDC issued a level 1 travel notice for health.
There you go, travel notice.
While there were still no confirmed cases. So we had 0 cases. People want me to act. I'm supposed to close down the economy, the greatest economy in the history of the world, and we don't have 1 case confirmed in the United States. That's January.
Now, here's why that particular note is noted by the president. If you've been around here, my regulars all know what I'm about to say as far as when someone tells you that you should have done something 3 months ago. You got to remember, some people, they say 3 months ago, they think, oh yeah, February, March, April. Whoa. No, 3 months ago was January 14th. Do any of you in the chat remember what came out on January 14th, 2020 that might have said to the rest of the world, well, maybe we don't need to worry about this as much? Who can remember what that was? And I'm sure he'll bring it up. Oh, thank you, Butt Flu Bandit, with the $5 super chat. It says, sit on the floor, I'm on the crawl. I've got a feeling for the butt flavors. The soft gentleman's anti-anal brother, the hard bastard, sent me. Hope you're well. I'm doing okay. I'm chained up in a dungeon and got lots of face masks and social distancing. Very good, sir. Very good. I hope the chains aren't too tight around your wrists and ankles. All right. Thank you, Butt Flu Bandit. All right. So Renee Miette. I hope I'm saying that right. Oh, C. Thomas, my buddy. How you doing? Hello, ex-Bubba Hotech. Some of y'all regulars who are coming back. Okay. On January 14, 2020, that was the day the WHO put out their big notice that said that, however many cases in China, blah, blah, blah. But there is no evidence of human-to-human transmission. So imagine if on January 14th, 2020, the vaunted World Health Organization said there's no evidence of human-to-human transmission. And imagine if Trump, not the dictator, but a dictator depending on when they want to call him a dictator or not, had said, you know what? I don't care if there's no human-to-human transmission. We're going to shut down the country and destroy everyone's lives right now because this might turn into something. Imagine if he did that on January 14th. I mean, remember, it took them another couple, what is it? The 25th, the World Health Organization said, oh, whoa. I'm sorry. China just told it that they have evidence of human-to-human transmission. But still, most of the cases are in China. There's cases in 5 other countries. But you know what? Just carry on. Well, then 5 days later, the World Health Organization said, well, you know what? This is kind of a global health emergency. It's not a pandemic yet, but it's a global health emergency. We should probably just, take care, maybe monitor people at airports and shit like that. The very next day, the president, at the advice of Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx, made new restrictions on travel from China. Basically, no one, Americans could come back from China. They would be screened. They would have to go on a 14-day quarantine. They would allow diplomats and whatnot, but no other travel from China. Let's see what the president says about his timeline here in relation to what I just said here. Now,
January 17th, the CDC began implementing public health entry screenings at 3 major U.S. airports that received the greatest volume of passengers from Wuhan at my instructions. There was not a single case of the coronavirus in the United States. So on January 17th, there wasn't a case, and the fake news is saying, oh, he didn't act fast enough. Well, you remember what happened. Because when I did act, I was criticized by Nancy Pelosi, by Sleepy Joe Biden. I was criticized by everybody. In fact, I was called xenophobic. I was asking Biden to please define that for me. I was called other things by Democrats and some others, not too many others.
Yes, and we all remember that. Now, the one Chuck Schumer quote I think is a fake, but there are plenty of people out there saying, yes, Trump's just practicing his xenophobic tendencies. This is an overreaction. And there's tons of media outlets that were just saying, this is no more than a flu. What is he doing? Is he overreacting? I'm sorry. By the way, I do have my morning cup of Reparations coffee in hand, and I need to take a sip because I have a tickle in my throat. Oh, so good. Anyway, let's continue here. Let's see what he says.
So that by the media, definitely. Now, on January 21st, is long before the time we're talking, because when Tony's talking, I believe he's talking about the end of February. On January...
we'll talk about Dr. Fauci, too. And now, look, when we get into Dr. Fauci, I'm not blaming Dr. Fauci. I can't blame Donald Trump. I can't blame any of these people. If y'all remember, we're not the only country in the world that's having these problems. Keep that in mind at all times when people talk to you about this. This happens to be raging in a lot of parts of the world. In fact, most of the worst places are in parts of the world that just happen to have the similar climate to we have. But I digress. Let's go back to this.
21st. Okay, still.
Yeah, it's black coffee. Who puts shit in their coffee? Thank you, Zebulon Pike. Is that how you say that? Yeah, it's black. I'm black. The coffee's black. We're all black around here. So, brother.
Early, there was one case of the virus. At that time, we called it the Wuhan virus, right?
Yeah, and who called it the Wuhan virus? Everyone in the media. He's trolling. I swear to God, he's trolling right now. He's trolling.
There was one case in the whole United States. We had one case. This is all documented. It all comes from you. A lot of it comes from you people. On January 21st, the CDC activated an emergency operations center. There was just one case, one person. That's why that ad was such a phony. There was one person in the United States. You know, they use the ad, there's only one person. That statement was made at that time. One.
Also, okay, I know I keep interrupting this, but look, they keep bringing up the statements Trump made between in January and February and whatever. It's funny because when those statements are standalone, yeah, the statements sound kind of dumb now, but you have to go back and see what happened before each of those statements. So, for example, when Trump was praising Xi Jinping on January 25th, the day before, the World Health Organization basically was giving Xi Jinping credit for the fact that they've sort of got some containment on the virus. They were doing things to mitigate the problem. They were doing this and doing that. No one else in the world had it. And so it was the day after the report came out that they sort of had something. They had something going. It sure didn't frickin' work. Sorry.
One case in the whole United States. One case. I'm supposed to shut down the government, the biggest economy in the history of the world. Shut it down. We have one case.
Kim Scott, I see what you wrote there. You're kind of white and sweet. Go ahead, girl.
7 cases were on January 31st. Now, on January 21st, there was a case. Not one person had died. You heard that, Steve, right? Not one person. So we have this massive country, the United States of America. We have.
All right, I'm going to pause for this super chat. Thank you, Captain Hindsight, with the $5 super chat via the Streamlabs link down below. If only we knew what we know today, things would be better. Damn media stealing my job. You know, Captain Hindsight, I've been saying this all week. Mr. Hugh, what's up? Mr. Hugh's been here before. I know. I've seen you before. Captain Hindsight with the great talk about hindsight is 2020. I like to think of it this way. You know, it's always easier, and I've said that people who are regulars here know what I've heard me say this before. It's always easier to know which receiver was open on instant replay. Okay, so all you armchair Elways in the media, now that we know what happened, yeah, it's easy if you know what's already happening, but you got to go back and look at what was happening during each statement in the past. All right, and also, look, Trump has been following his advisors the whole time. When the advisors asked him to shut off travel from China, he did. When the advisors said shut down, it's time to shut down travel from Europe, he did. When the advisors said, you know what, we got to start talking about mitigation efforts here. Maybe we should come up with a plan where we can shut stuff down in the U.S. He did. He's been following the scientists every time. Oh, you need to talk to the scientist. You dumbasses. He has been talking to the scientists. Shut the hell up.
The greatest economy in the world, bigger than China's by a lot, right? Because of what we've done over the last 3.5 years, prior to the virus, but including the virus. So we have the biggest economy, the greatest economy we've ever had, the highest employment numbers, the best employment numbers, best unemployment numbers also, the best of everything. So on January 31st, think of it. Not one person has died. Not one. Nobody died. Not one, John. I don't think you'll find any. This is reported by CDC, confirmed by the news, which doesn't mean anything to me because they don't tell the truth. But CDC reported January 31st, not one person has died, and I issued a travel restriction from China. Think of it. So nobody died, and I issued. You can't get earlier than that. So we have nobody died, and I said, China, you can't come in. I'm sorry. Because I saw what was...
Now, the other thing, what was I going to say? I got distracted. The other thing, you know, when he put on this travel restrictions from China, the WHO was still saying, we shouldn't change any of our travel patterns. You don't need to change your lifestyle in some parts of the country, but you should probably begin doing at least some monitoring at various ports of entry. But there was nothing in the World Health Organization that made this sound urgent whatsoever. So, that first ban. I remember the first thing I read after I saw that they implemented the travel restrictions with China was xenophobe, racist. It was the very first. I turned on Twitter, and the first freaking thing was xenophobe, racist.
What's going on? Wasn't so much what I was told. It was that I saw what was going on, and I didn't like it. But I didn't speak to Tony didn't speak to very many people about it. I didn't like it. So what did I do? Ready? January 31st, in the United States,
declared
not one person had died
a state of
because
emergency.
of the Wuhan virus. So I issued travel restrictions on that date.
And they were still calling it the Wuhan virus on January 31st in the media. And they didn't. It's so funny because no one complained about it until Trump said it. And then, that's right, they did. Thank you, Lowrider. I just saw that on the screen. I'm like, I'm going to use that phraseology. That's right.
Even though nobody died, and I got brutalized over it by the press because I was way too early. I shouldn't have done it.
Oh, you're overreacting. But, it's an overreaction. It's just a flu. You've seen all the montages. I'm not going to do it.
Politics. But I guess I'm doing okay because, to the best of my knowledge, I'm the president of the United States, despite the things that are said. So then, first mandatory quarantine in more than 50 years, we did. First mandatory in 50
people
years.
Entering the country.
The same restrictions that the Democrats and the media called xenophobic. Now, Joe Biden said he's a racist. He called me a racist because I said we're shutting down entry from China. We're shutting it down. He called me xenophobic, and he called me a racist and other things. Since then, on a Friday night 2 weeks ago...
I'm sorry, I usually have bells. So if you're wondering what the bell is, I usually hit the bell either on things that are correct or on some of those keywords that people like to use now and then. If you're not used to what the bell is, that's what the bell's for. But sometimes I just hit the bell because what the hell?
Biden issued a statement. It wasn't him. He didn't write it. I'm sure he doesn't even know that it was issued. But the people from his campaign who are smart, people that write these little PR are pretty smart.
Yes.
Reasonably good. Not the best, but they're not bad. But they issued a statement saying that Joe Biden agrees that that President Trump was right to close it down to China. Now, he did that. Now, he issued it on a Friday night. We've all heard about that, John, Friday nights, right? In fact,
Okay, so that's the end of that one. Anyway, so he goes over this list of things that they've done, right? And that didn't go over well. But then I don't know if you haven't seen this this video, gosh, I can't even talk today. You know what? Y'all got me flustered. I've got 125 people in the chat today. That's like 75 more than normal. Thank you, hard bastard. Thank you, daddy. Anyway, what the hell is that? Let's click here. I've already started streaming. Anyway, all right. So, so if you aren't, so then he goes on and then he plays. Should I play the video? Has everyone seen the video? I mean, it's glorious. It is. I mean, in some ways it's glorious. It's in some ways it's just a troll. Here, better yet. We're just going to finish this article and then we'll move on. You've all seen the video. I'm going to go big old titty. I'm going to go ahead and play finish this. So the video kind of looked like a professional ad according to PJ Media. But during that broadcast, when he started to put up the video, MSNBC and CNN, which usually began taking updates only after Trump has spoken, stayed with Fauci, and then when Trump began bagging on the media, they left. They cut away from the View and started having commentary. And so CNN, Laura Ingraham tweeted out, CNN can dish it out but can't take it. They just dumped out of the White House coronavirus task force briefing because the president is exposing their rank bias. Yes. And then here is CNN reporting that Trump was lying. This is hilarious. During the briefing. And you'll see some of the words in the chyron as they do this. We'll put this.
Extraordinary doesn't do it justice, Wolf. The president has every right to defend himself. The president has a few key points he wants to make about his action on the China ban. He's absolutely correct. However, I spent 9.5 years in that building, close to 10 years in that building, including in that briefing room as a White House correspondent. Many of them working with you back in the Clinton administration.
Who feels sad for
CNN? Propaganda. That was not just a campaign.
It's propaganda.
Video. Propaganda. Aired at taxpayer expense.
Hey, wait a minute. Hey, wait, whoa. Before he moves on, I've been thinking about this because I saw this earlier, and something got me going. Hey, that's something familiar about that when he's saying it's propaganda. It's propaganda. And then I remembered. Y'all remember this? Maybe some of you remember this. Maybe you don't. But during the prior administration, what's his face? Barack Obama. What the fuck was that? Anyway, during the presidency of Barack Obama. Okay, whatever. Remember how some kind of rule or whatever about that the U.S. government couldn't make propaganda. Remember that? Change that rule so that the government could make propaganda. Remember that? Remember under Obama? And now John here is complaining about propaganda.
Taxpayer expense in the White House. And it aired at taxpayer expense.
Oh, wait, no, here.
Administration. Then I stayed on through the George
Let's
W.
hear it
Bush
again.
administration. That was propaganda.
Propaganda.
That was not a campaign video. That was propaganda.
Propaganda.
Aired at taxpayer expense.
At taxpayer expense, yeah.
And it was selective cherry-picking information. Again, the president...
Now, look at this. Look at the chyron right now. Trump uses task force briefing to try and rewrite history on coronavirus response. Tell me one thing that he said that was not accurate. See, that's the funny thing. When you rewrite history, usually you change history. And yet, I don't think he changed anything. Did he say anything that was inaccurate in his timeline? Was there any... I've looked at the timeline over and over again. I know more about this timeline than most people because I spend a lot of time on this bullshit. Did he change anything? I don't think so. Anyway.
Right. To be proud of imposing the travel restrictions on China. He was criticized by other people.
He was criticized. Yes, he was.
Every public health expert will now tell you that helped. That helped. That was the one thing.
Oh, so he was that helped. That's kind of like someone making shake and bake. And I help. If any of you are old enough to know what the hell shake and bake is. Oh, what the hell happened there? The hell?
The president did early on. Some of those other things that were announced in there were cherry-picked, and they ignore some things, like on January 22nd, when the president was asked by CNBC, is there going to be a pandemic? No, not at all. That was the president of the United States.
Well, yeah, he said that based on the information he had, right? That was before they said there was any human-to-human transmission. In fact, what did he say? What day did he say? The January 22nd? January 22nd. I think we just talked about this. January 14th, the World Health Organization made a big point of saying that there's no evidence of human-to-human transmission. So it was what he said then was based on what was happening then. Brilliant.
United States on January 22nd. The president in early February said, looks like in April, in theory, it gets a little warmer. It miraculously goes away.
In April? What did he say? That was in February. in February, they thought this was still like other viruses that are often seasonal, that they're hoping it was an aspirational response to a question, that we hope that it goes away in April, like a lot of seasonal things similar to the flu or other viruses. Okay, that's what they knew at the time. Let's continue.
The president said then on February 26th at the White House, this is the flu, this is like the flu. He said in that same press conference, we're going to get very substantially 15 people, 15 within a couple of days, it's going to be down to 0. I could go on.
And again, based on what they knew at the time. What was happening at the time? Well, they found some cases coming in from China. They thought they had found them all, and they thought they had them isolated, not knowing that because the human-to-human transmission can also take place with people who are asymptomatic. The 15 people that they had it, except for the one in Chicago that was human-to-human transmission, they thought they had them all traced. But, of course, we now know that between the time that the virus started showing up in Wuhan, China, which was November 17th, 2019, and through the entire month of December, as more people in Wuhan got it, and the entire month of January, when they were still saying there was no human-to-human transmission, well, towards the end of the month of January, China, they did restrict travel from Wuhan within China, but not international flights leaving China. Now, you wonder why it ends up in Italy. Why does Italy, start taking it? Because granted, in January, there's cases in Vietnam, South Korea. I think there was Japan. And actually, the first case in the United States was someone who traveled from Wuhan to Seattle on the 15th, and they figured out they found that person, the one case on January 20th, I believe. Okay, and they thought they had that person isolated. But China restricted travel within China, but not international from China. So one of the big daily flights from Wuhan goes to northern Italy, where China there's some Chinese owners of a lot of factories there. There's about 100,000 Chinese nationals in northern Italy. And those flights kept going daily. And then you wonder, okay, wait a minute. So now, because remember the other day, they made a big deal about how the cases in most of the cases in New York City, they figured out that they had traveled through or from Europe. Okay. Well, here's a good, interesting thought. Okay, so the first case is going to Italy. Okay, northern Italy, which is in northern Italy, there's a lot of clothing companies and textile manufacturing and all kinds of things like that, because the Chinese realized that the made in Italy tag on a garment makes it more valuable. There's a prestige to something made in Italy. So they bought up a bunch of Italian factories. They have a bunch of 100,000 people in northern Italy. They have daily flights to Wuhan. Well, now, so Wuhan or northern Italy becomes a hot spot, but also people are traveling all the time from those areas. And what happens in the first couple weeks of February in New York City? Well, there's two things. One, they celebrate the Lunar New Year in Chinatown. And two, Fashion Week in New York City. 200,000 visitors go to New York City for Fashion Week. A very large number of them come from Europe, particularly Italy, France. Big fashion capitals of the world, right? Go figure that a lot of the cases, about half, they say a majority, they don't tell you if it's half or 60 or 30 or whatever. Well, it could be 30 if it's more, but they say a majority of cases in New York City travel through Europe. Well, so did the Wuhan virus, or the virus from the country of origin that shall not be named. That's a trademark term, please. If you use it, make sure you credit PDawg Knight. So anyway, of course, it's not a surprise. It's also the cases on the West Coast mostly came or found to people who have traveled to Wuhan. The case in Chicago, where the first human-to-human transmission that they know of in the United States traveled from Wuhan. Okay, it didn't matter where the cases came from. They still originated in Wuhan.
China is asshole.
All right, let's go. Let's finish this up.
Other things the president has said. Again, he has every right to defend himself. He has every right.
Well, if he has every right to defend himself, what do you complain about?
Actually, not true.
What?
To play a propaganda video at taxpayer expense.
Oh no, he played a video at the taxpayer expense. You know what? I make videos sometimes. It's not that hard. It doesn't take that much time. All you got to do is cut some clips and put them together. I'm sure that taxpayer expense was exorbitant. Oh yes, he played a video at taxpayers' expense. Oh, come on, you little. Stop being such a little bitch. Anyway.
Briefing room is you can insert your favorite word here in this administration. There are ways to do things, and then there's that.
Oh yes. Oh no. See the CNN.
James Brady briefing room.
Clearly, CNN is the arbiter of how things should be done. Yes, we should all, in the words of Hart Bastard, just sit back and obey. Take the cock. Yeah, that's not usually my style. Anyway, NBC was also reaching for the plug. NBC cuts coverage, and Ari Melber says that they won't return to the press briefing until they actually start talking about the coronavirus. Yeah, whatever. I'm not going to play their clip. And they said Trump is playing a video right now of how the media downplayed the coronavirus and how the Democrat governors have praised him for working with them. Hey, it's right there on the tape, bitches. CNN and NBC immediately cut away from the press conference because they don't want their viewers to see what's really happening. And that's really why I don't watch any of the networks. I refuse, on these press briefings, I refuse to watch CNN, MSNBC, Fox, OAN, whatever, ABC, NBC. I don't watch any of them. I go directly from the White House feed. And if you're going to watch those, that is the best way to do it. On YouTube, the White House has a YouTube channel, and watch it directly from the feed. Don't let people start throwing opinions out. You listen to it yourself, and you make your own opinions based on what is actually said in the press conference. And then let's see, the MSNBC and CNN were not the only ones who liked it, who didn't like, but they were the only ones who didn't like it. Most people thought it was hilarious, at which I thought, I didn't even watch it live. I saw it later, and I thought it was hilarious just watching the reactions on Twitter. But anyway, Fox Business's Charles Payne admired Trump's moves. I have to admit, this video of media coverage of the White House handling of coronavirus caught me off guard. The timing, however, is perfect. Well played. Well played indeed, sir. Yes, I thought so too. Someone named Camry. I don't know. A lot of people loved it. All right. Anyway, let's move on from that. Now, also news at that press briefing yesterday. Before I move on, I got to do the shill. I haven't done the shill yet. All right. So those of you watching today, welcome all the new people here. I'm so happy to hear the Morning Night Live is brought to you by you, the viewers of the Morning Night Live. The show is sponsored by viewers like you. Support the show with your donations and have your super chats read live on the show. You can click the link right there in the chat. Also, it's right here, PDawgnight.live. That'll take you there, and it tells you. I have little weird alerts for different dollar amounts and stuff. Now, the other part of that, though, I know everyone's reeling a little bit from the financial aspect of this corona apocalypse. So, don't feel you have to, but appreciate it when you do. Thank you for those so far. Thanks to all the new subscribers. And by the way, the bigger thing you can do right now, though, is share the stream out. So if you follow me on Twitter, right over there at PDawgnight.live, or excuse me, at PDawgnight on Twitter, mine's or Gab. I tweet the show out every day. Or if you hit the share arrow down below, it takes a couple more clicks and you throw it out on social media. That is the biggest thing that I need right now. I'm trying to get up to 1,000 subscribers so I can do some mobile live streams. And now, by the way, the wife, known as Lady Boomer around here, when we do live streams when we're driving, you'll want to be there. It's hilarious, although she refuses to be on camera. That's the only thing. But you know what? Some of the people around here know how entertaining it can be when Lady and Boomer and I try to talk about things. So anyway, and then finally, hit the like button. If you like what we do, hit the like button. I'll remind you on the way out, but there you go. Golden State Live, they do a good job too. And also, there's a Fox News, not a Fox News, but a Fox affiliate out of Phoenix. I think it's Fox 10 of Phoenix. They do it without any whatchamacallit. They do it without any, that's distracting. Every time someone does that one, I am distracted. Anyway, thank you, Eaton Beaver. with the 556. Everybody deserves a good cup of coffee. Yes, they do, and I have mine right here. All right. Anyway, so thanks for all that. Now let's talk about Anthony Fauci, because as you know, and I talked about this yesterday, but some of you weren't here, and also this article on American greatness I thought was pretty good too, so we'll go through this one too. Fauci walks back Sunday talk show comments about COVID-19 mitigation efforts. Now, if you know, some people were all excited. Oh, Fauci trash Trump, right? Oh, because when I got on Twitter, I didn't see it. I didn't see the Sunday shows, and so, but all of a sudden on Twitter, people are saying, oh, Fauci threw Trump under the bus, right? Fauci said that Trump should have done this earlier. And I'm thinking, I said to myself, you might want to go see exactly what Dr. Fauci really said, okay? So anyway, in 2 interviews Easter Sunday, White House Coronavirus Task Force member Dr. Anthony Fauci seemed to fault President Trump for not adopting mitigation policies for the coronavirus earlier, after Fauci told CNN host Jake Tapper that the country, quote, could have saved lives if it had started the mitigation efforts earlier. Trump seemed to hit back by retweeting a post calling for him to be fired. The White House, however, claimed in a statement Monday that Trump had no intention of firing Fauci, and he remains a trusted advisor to the president. Okay, all right, good. I don't know what that's going on there, but anyway, during his appearance on CNN's State of the Union, Fauci was asked about a recent New York Times report claiming he and other infectious disease experts had recommended social distancing guidelines to the president in the 3rd week of February. I'm sorry, I read this New York Times article. Again, it is all about that instant replay. Remember, I just said the instant replay where you always know which receiver, you miss that pass and you always know which receiver was open on the instant replay. And it's an entire article of, instant replay. Well, this, that, he said this, and he did this, then, and then, with really no context of what actually was known at the time. So yeah, you can go, what? Breaking news, reality is the exact opposite of whatever the MSM tells you. Yes, how about that, right? Thank you. Who was that? Someone named Adam Richard. How you doing? Thank you. By the way, all of you, hit that subscribe button now before you forget. Hit the bell, the whatchamacallit, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, the scathing report was based on dozens of interviews with current and former officials and a review of emails and other records. Yes, it absolutely was a lot of anonymous sources. It was hilarious. Mr. Scott, thank you for the $2 super chat via Streamlabs. What's up? Hi, PDawg, Assassins of Grey, and Richo. Can't believe Monkey screwed up my shout out early this morning. Now, I have no idea what you're talking about, Mr. Scott. I missed Monkey in the morning this morning. By the way, if you're Hard Bastard fans, a lot of us around here follow the Ranting Monkey. Ranting Monkey on YouTube. Check him out. They do shows nightly on Lords of the Night. And they also, Ranting Monkey does a show called Monkey in the Morning that could be any time in the morning. You just got to subscribe and hit the bell so you know when they're done. So thank you, Adam Richard, for subscribing. I appreciate that. All right. The scathing report was based on dozens of interviews with current and former officials and a review of emails and other records, according to the New York Times. Quote, the administration didn't announce such guidelines to the American public until March 16th, almost a month later, said Tapper. Why? Now, we were just talking about leading questions. Didn't announce the guidelines to the American public until March 16th, saying that, about the scathing report. So already he's framing it as this should have been done rather than how did it come? How did it turn out that you made this announcement on the 16th? Rather than asking how it came about, you're telling him that you're implying that it should have been done earlier. So Fauci answers now again, and also this is a hypothetical question. It's not a question because remember, this is the past. Okay, no, well, that part of the question is not. But anyway, he said, Jake, I've said many times, we look at it from a pure health standpoint, Fauci answered. We make a recommendation. Often the recommendation is taken. Sometimes it's not. But it's what it is. We are where we are right now. Now, what's funny about that, Fauci clarified his remarks during Monday's coronavirus task force press conference, telling reporters that the president immediately acted on the expert's recommendation, meaning that expert recommendation came just before they did it. The president followed the recommendation. And in fact, if you were watching yesterday, even on March 9th, well, first of all, on March 6th, Fauci said we don't need to necessarily change any of our behaviors yet. March 6th, 10 days earlier. On March 9th, he actually said that, you know what? If younger people who are healthy want to go on cruises, they should go on a cruise. If they're one of the press people, the press asked him, well, let's say you've scheduled a cruise. Do you think it would be safe to go on a cruise? On March 9th, this question was asked. Fauci's answer, well, and I do have a video for this, but I'm not going to put it up right now. Fauci says on March 9th, well, if you're a young, healthy person and, you could probably go ahead and go on that cruise. Now, if you're older or if you might have some health issues, you may want to think twice about doing that. I wouldn't go on a cruise because I don't like cruises. But, so on March 9th, he was even saying that it'd be okay to go on a cruise. But on March 16th, he recommended to the president that they start using these health recommendations. And what did the president do? He followed it seems like he's always followed the recommendations of Burke and Fauci. Remember, he wanted to open up reopen the country on by Easter. Okay. But they said they're going to wait and see. They're going to go with the recommendations of the experts, and everyone was howling. Yeah, he's going to kill people if he opens the country by Easter. But what did he say? But what really happened? Well, Fauci and Burke recommended that they do it for another few weeks. What did the president do? He followed the recommendations of Burke and Fauci. He's done it at every point during this process. He's been following the recommendations of Burke and Fauci. So the press, although they're yelling at Trump what he should have done, he's following every recommendation. Anyway, so Fauci clarified his remarks during Monday coronavirus task force press conference, telling reporters that the president immediately, and I mean immediately, acted upon the experts' recommendations. When Tapper asked whether here's the hypothetical question. When Tapper asked whether lives could be saved if the social distancing guidelines had been adopted in the third week of February instead of the middle of March, Fauci demurred, saying it was difficult to answer what would have questions. But he acknowledged that obviously you could logically say that if you had a process that is ongoing and that you started mitigation early, you could save lives. Here's the clip. Oh no, I'm gonna play that whole clip. That's 10 minutes long. Fuck that. All right. Yeah. So look, what's stupid about that question? First of all, well, of course, if I had known then what I know now, when I was younger, I would have been able to predict that. But I didn't have a crystal ball in the middle of February, and we were working by what we knew. Of course, you knew which receiver was open when you see the instant replay. Can't throw it to him now, can you? So what's the purpose of this question? But anyway, he answered correctly. Sure, if they had started in January with the mitigation efforts, they might have stopped more of the carnage that we're seeing right now. But they didn't. Based on what they knew, based on what was happening in the rest of the world, based on what other countries do, based on what they were being told by the WHO, based on what the experts here said, based on what Dr. Burke and Dr. Fauci said. On the 15th, Dr. Burke and Dr. Fauci walked into his office and said, hey, we need to do this. On the 16th, President Trump said, okay, hey, everybody, this is what we're doing now. They came out with the president's guidelines for mitigating the whatever. All right, so but Fauci also added, but obviously you're right. If we had right from the very beginning shut everything down, yeah, the beginning was January. You know what? On December 31st, when the Chinese finally said, hey, we got this little virus thing going on that's causing some weird pneumonia shit, and it seems to be fucking people up to the WHO, and the WHO finally told the world that after a month and a half of it happening, that this was happening. Oh, well, maybe we should have just shut down then. Imagine. Now think about this. Imagine if, like the H1N1 scare back in 2009, 2010, remember back when they had this big H1N1 scare, okay? And they said this could kill as many as 2 million people, blah, 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 blah. And the Obama administration, they saw a few deaths early in April, and then it went away, okay? Because then it came back later, and overall about between 12 and 18,000 people died, right? But for a flu season, that's a pretty mild flu season. But do you remember what was happening during that time when they said, okay, they're going to try to get these vaccines, they're going to try to get 40,000 or like 100,000 doses of a vaccine and blood, whatever, and the CDC and whatever, they kind of screwed it up and they didn't get those out. And do you remember anyone bitching about Obama? Because remember, they were having the same dire predictions about this bird flu. It's the bird flu. Everyone's going to die from the bird flu. And it turned out to be not as bad. And so they kind of dodged a bullet because they kind of screwed up. But I don't blame Obama for that. But neither did the media because did I say Obama? Sorry, I missed it. President Obama. Real quick, a quick super chat from God Emperor of Duncan with the 333. In before Trump ignored psychics' accurate predictions and caused lives. Yeah, this. What is that famous psychic that used to be on the Jamaican woman? Somebody tell me in the chat if you missed something. Anyway, yeah, the psychics didn't get it right either. Anyway, so he said, obviously, if we'd started the mitigation efforts early, of course it would save more lives. But we didn't because at the time that was not the information we have. Later Sunday, Fauci told MSNBC's Al Sharpton. Whoa! Oh, that's my phone. Look what the hell's going on. That's my timer telling me to do super chat. All right. Later, Fauci told NBC's Al Sharpton that it first became clear to him in the middle to the end of January that COVID-19 could become a major problem in the U.S. And for all you hard bastard fans, you'll certainly be able to relate to this. Yeah, and if I had shit a dog in January, you know the answer to that. Okay, but yeah, there were all kinds of predictions in January, even though whatever. As soon as the disease it became clear that there was a community spread, which means that it just isn't just a travel-related case, that there are cases that are in the community under the radar screen, then it became clear that we were really in trouble. And they discovered the community spread part in early March. That's when the WHO finally declared it a pandemic. But they didn't. So anyway, while Fauci on MSNBC claimed that it was clear to him as early as mid-January that COVID-19 was a serious threat and we were in real trouble, he publicly downplayed the virus' potential impact in the U.S. repeatedly throughout January and February. There's plenty of those. January 21st, for instance, he emphasized that it was unclear whether the virus could spread from person to person. Is it a continual spread? Is it sustained? We're not quite sure yet because they didn't know. 2 days later, the infectious disease expert said in an interview that there was no chance in the world America would see citywide shutdowns. Uh-oh. On January 23rd, Journal of the American Medical Association podcast in a January 23rd Journal of the American Medical Association podcast, Fauci pointed out that all 5 cases in the U.S. at the time were travelers from China. Oh my gosh.
China is asshole.
And noted that a number of infections was likely much higher than official counts because of limited testing in China. So the death rate of the virus was likely much lower than feared. Huh. Better turn on that instant replay. All right, anyway, Fauci was still downplaying the threat of the virus in the U.S. as late as February 18th. Not even as late as February 18th. As late as March 9th. I've got the video receipts. Calling it a hypothetical danger that was just minuscule compared to the real and present danger of the seasonal flu. So on February 18th, the middle of February that they're all asking about, quote, real and present danger, end quote, of the seasonal flu. During an interview on NBC's Today morning show on February 29th, Fauci expressed concern about the dangers of community spread within the U.S., but stressed that there was no need for anyone to change their lifestyles yet. February 29th. What's the date they keep asking about? Mid to late February? Huh. And this is the advisor they all trust the most. Don't listen to Trump. Let Fauci speak. Well, that's the advisor that was advising Trump. February 29th, no need for anyone to change their lifestyle yet. After the CNN interview, President Trump seemed to fire back at Fauci, retweeting a former Republican congressional candidate's post calling for the infectious disease specialist to be fired. Sorry, fake news, it's all hype, he tweeted. I banned China long ago before people woke up. Now look, he put that because look, here's what Deanna Lorraine said. Fauci is now saying that had Trump listened to the medical experts earlier, he could have saved more lives. Fauci was telling people on February 29th that there was nothing to worry about, and it posed no threat to the U.S. public at large. Time to hashtag fire Fauci. Yes, they tried for some hashtag justice. Yes, Miss Cleo, thank you. I saw a bunch of people say it, and I didn't say it. Now I've said it. All right. White House spokesman Judd Deere said that in January and February, Trump took bold action to protect Americans and unleash the full power of the federal government to curb the spread of the virus, expanding testing capacities and expedite vaccine developments. Now, you remember that because they had to, first of all, so they were working on vaccines in February, right? And they were having trouble because one, you have to get FDA for testing and vaccines, and the FDA approval for the testing was problematic. That's why they couldn't use tests from other countries. So they were developing their own test. The first test they developed through the Center for Disease Control was faulty. It didn't work. Okay, so they had to start over in the middle of February. What were they doing in February? How come reporters don't know what they were doing in February, and I do? So then, not only did they have to come up with a new test, but also they were trying to expedite the process for starting to test vaccines. And so what they did is they kind of had to figure out how they could change some regulations so that they could do that. What were they doing in February? Well, all you guys have been sitting in these press conferences. You don't know? Fuck those guys. Anyway. By the way, come here for FTG Thursday. That's known as Fuck Those Guys, or Fuck That Guy, or Fuck That Gal, or Fuck That Group, where we give our special FTGs out for the week. There will be several. I have a helper, at least a new source for FTGs. Oh boy, it's going to get thick if we have this many people here. Anyway, during the White House Task Force press conference on late Monday afternoon, Fauci clarified that President Trump agreed to increase mitigation to prevent the spread of COVID-19 the very first time he and fellow task force member Dr. Deborah Birx recommended them. CBS reporter Paula Reed actually asked Fauci if he had made the remarks voluntarily. And it's so funny because people always say, oh, God, he just looks like a hostage up there. And according to this guy, the word of the day is pushback. Let's see what this says. This is, how long is this? 30 says we can do this one.
I had an interview yesterday that I was asked a hypothetical question. And hypothetical questions sometimes can get you into some difficulty because it's what would have or could have. The nature of the hypothetical question was, if in fact we had mitigated earlier, could lives have been saved? And the answer to my question was, as I always do, and I'm doing right now, perfectly honestly, say yes. I mean, obviously, if mitigation helps. Yeah, duh. I've been up here many times telling you that mitigation works. So if mitigation works, and you instigate it and you initiate it earlier, you will probably have saved more lives. If you initiated it later, you probably would have lost more lives. You initiated at a certain time. That was taken as a way that maybe somehow something was at fault here. So let me tell you from my experience, and I can only speak from my own experience, is that we had been talking before any meetings that we had about the pros and the cons, the effectiveness of strong mitigations. So discussions were going on mostly among the medical people about what that would mean. The first and only time that Dr. Birx and I went in and formally made a recommendation to the president to actually have a, quote, shutdown in the sense of not really shutdown, but to really have strong mitigation. We discussed it. Obviously, there would be concern by some that, in fact, that might have some negative consequences. Nonetheless, the president listened to the recommendation and went to the mitigation.
And they didn't have to ask him twice because he's been following the advice of the scientists, because everybody loves science.
The next second time that I went with Dr. Birx into the president and said,
second time,
15 days are not enough. We need to go 30 days.
Remember that? Because everyone was having a conniption because Trump wanted to have the churches filled on Easter and he's going to kill everybody. But Dr. Fauci and Dr. Birx recommended something else, and what happened?
Obviously, there were people who had a problem with that because of the potential secondary effects. Nonetheless, at that time, the president went with the health recommendations. And we extended it another 30 days.
He trusted the scientists.
What I know and what my recommendations were. But clearly, as happens all the time, there were interpretations of that response to a hypothetical question that I just thought it would be.
Now listen to this question this asked. Now the question this lady asked is just off the chain, and it's the same lady who got into the shouting match with Trump yesterday. Later in this task force briefing.
You know, to be honest with you, I don't even remember what the date was, but I can just tell you the first and only time that I went in and said we should do mitigation strongly, the response was, yes, we'll do it.
And what did you do? Was that the travel restrictions?
No.
Bitch, were you listening? He just told you. The mitigation's on March 16th, you moron. Now listen to the next question. That's the dumb question. She also asks a worse question after this. Listen to this.
The travel restriction is separate. That was whether or not we wanted to go into a mitigation stage of 15 days of mitigation.
March 16th was the date.
Travel was another recommendation when we went in and said we probably should be doing that. And the answer was yes.
Travel was Birx and Fauci.
With Europe.
Europe was Birx and Fauci.
Time we should do it with the UK.
UK, Birx and Fauci.
In this interview, you said there was pushback.
Yeah.
Where did that pushback come from?
That was the wrong choice of words. You know what it was?
Probably from other people on the task force who were probably like, holy shit, we're going to do what? We're going to do what? We're going to tell people to do what? That's going to fuck up everything. But who did Trump listen to? The scientists, because, Trump hates science, but he did listen to the scientists.
People discuss, not necessarily in front of the president, when people discuss, they say, well, this is going to have maybe a harmful effect on this or on that.
Here it comes.
So it was a poor choice of words.
Here comes the dumbest question ever.
Are you doing this voluntarily, or did the president?
Everything I do is voluntarily. Please, don't even imply.
Are you a hostage? Do you have what's not Munchausen? What is it? What's that syndrome? Whatever the syndrome is, not Munchausen. Fuck. What is it called? I don't know. Fuck Karen. Jesus Christ, she's such a Karen. Anyway, okay. Oh, yeah, and I'll just go down here. Just a couple things. Breaking news: FEC records show that the wife of NIH Director Dr. Anthony Fauci, who's clashed with Trump over COVID-19 strategy, is a Democrat who donated at least $1,200 to Hillary for America and Hillary Victory Fund in 2016 versus Trump. Fauci wrote a 2013 email praising Hillary. A month before the 2016 election, he and his Hillary donating Democrat wife, Christine Grady, attended a D.C. party hosted by Hunter Biden's ex-wife and other anti-Trump Democratic activists. So, look, Fauci's not a Trump Stockholm syndrome. Thank you. My brain was not working. I wanted to say Munchausen syndrome. Fauci's not a Trump guy. Believe me, he's a Democrat, Hillary supporting whatever. But here's the thing: Fauci's been there, 30 years at the National Institute of Health. He's worked under a lot of presidents. So why would Fauci lie for Trump? So anyway, all right. Enough of this. So those of you who are new here, you may not know this yet, but I'm going to start it right now. We do the daily Twitter trends. First, a couple thank yous. Thank you to Jay Wolf and to Skookum, Tyler F., RVA Dar, Necrosol Collins, Maddie the News Chick, and Becca Farley, who all tweeted out the show today or retweeted my tweet, whatever you want to do. Also, welcome to Simple Minds, Cindy, Rochelle, Andrea, who have also followed me on Twitter. If you want to follow me on Twitter, I had a really interesting discussion yesterday with a guy from Germany who I'd been talking to earlier in the month about this whole thing. It turned out, literally for an hour, we were tweeting back and forth, and he was like, you know how sometimes people just try to flood you with information, but they haven't really read it, and so he's giving me all these statements, and then he maybe puts up something from the WHO to support it, or whatever. He put up some receipts, so to speak, but then I would read the receipts and they didn't match what he was saying. But anyway, but we use this time to find out what's happening on Twitter. We look at Twitter to see what's happening new in the world, breaking news, what's trending, what people are talking about. What are people talking about right now that they're going to be talking about later in the day or making videos about tomorrow? So let's go into our daily Twitter trends. And the first thing we always like to do, a couple more notifications here. Let me get these real quick. Thank you, Chi-Town Jay, also for retweeting the show out today. I appreciate it. All right, so on the top of the tab of Twitter trends today, as it has been most days for the last month or so, it's coronavirus now, coronavirus yesterday, coronavirus today, coronavirus tomorrow. It's the corona apocalypse. Coronavirus, some European nations are finally easing lockdown restrictions. Now, isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing that some of the European nations are easing lockdown restrictions? And when the president talks about it, all the reporters are just like, oh no, you're going to kill us all. But wait a minute, aren't some of the governors doing the same damn thing? Oh no, they are easing into it, and they have a plan, and they're going to do this and that. President mentions it. We want to try to ease up some lockdown restrictions. Anyway, all right, let's see what the tab says today. Some European nations are easing lockdown restrictions. The total number of global cases is approaching 2 million, including more than 119,000 fatalities. More than 448,000 patients are reported to have recovered. Get the latest updates from around the world. A couple of highlights. India has extended a nationwide lockdown until May 3rd. Now, India is interesting because they don't have a lot of cases relative to what other countries have. And there's 1 billion people in India, right? But you got to remember what we've kind of been figured out, that in these warmer, more humid climates, the human-to-human transmission doesn't seem to be as prominent. And in fact, there's a map, and I probably don't have it up now. No, I closed it. There's a map that kind of shows you this climate map, and there's this kind of yellow and green swirl that goes across the world, and almost all the most, the most affected areas are in those yellow and green areas, which all kind of go across the northern hemisphere, where all the major cities that are having the biggest outbreaks have. So that's an interesting thing. They're trying to determine how much weather, climate, humidity, things like that affect the transmission of the virus. So anyway, France has extended its national lockdown until May 11th. France and Spain are starting to get hit hard now. Germany's also starting to get more cases. It's funny because the guy from Germany was telling me, oh yeah, we did all this and that ahead of time, and we were way on top of the ball, and now they're starting to see a rise in their cases. Iran says coronavirus deaths dropped below 100 for the first time in a month. China approves 2 vaccines for clinical trial. We already have some vaccines in our a couple companies doing clinical trials on vaccines here also. So that is good news that people are doing that. The United States has more than 580,000 cases confirmed. Now, you know, the thing about that is we have more cases confirmed, but we've done more than twice as many tests as any other country. So I think maybe perhaps it was Kim Scott, good question. I thought it was because they get malaria treatments. Now that's more in Africa and tropical places. That could be, it very could be related to hydrochloroquine or chloroquine. I took chloroquine before I went to Nigeria in about, what was that, 16 years ago. I remember taking that. You take one dose for 3 weeks in a row because it has a 40-day half-life, and so once you get it into your system, it helps prevent getting malaria. But that could be in some places. But also, I think the weather map, which I meant to bring out today, I'll bring it back out tomorrow. Kind of shows you too. There's a trend that all the most affected places in the world all seem to be in the same climate pattern. So that's an interesting thing too. Finally, China proved, okay, then, and let's see if anyone else has anything. Positive cases top 15,000 in Africa. So you got, look, there's a ton of Chinese travel in East Africa in particular, and also Nigeria, Ivory Coast, Ghana. But in the entire continent of Africa, 15,000 cases. So it's not as prominent in Africa. France extends nationwide lockdown. India extends nationwide lockdown. Austria and Italy reopen some shops while slowly easing lockdowns. I wonder if anyone's shrieking about that. Or are people happy? Also, U.S. Navy battles growing outbreak on a hospital ship. A global pandemic of the novel coronavirus has now claimed the lives of more than 120,000 people around the world. All right, so obviously the corona apocalypse is the foremost topic on everyone's mind. Let's go into the actual Twitter trends, though. If it takes me a couple clicks here, and we'll see what people are talking about. I already know what some of them are. Now, every day, if you're not familiar with Twitter trends, there's always the day trends. I call them the day trends because it's the name of the day, and it has 3 different things. I usually only touch on one of them. Tuesday Thoughts, Tuesday Motivation, and Tuesday Morning are all in the top 4, but we only usually do one a day. And we'll do Tuesday Thoughts, not to be confused with Tuesday Thoughts, although there may be some thoughts in the Tuesday Thoughts. So let's check that out. The top one today from Liberty Nation: 7 women have accused Joe Biden of sexual misconduct. Yet, where's the outcry from the left? Where's Me Too? Are women to be taken seriously only if their complaints are against a Republican or conservative? Yeah, duh. Look, think about it. Who are the very famous people who've made accusations? Christine Blasey Ford. What's the other one? What's the hooker porn star? What lady? What the hell's her name? Whatever the hell her name. The porn star lawyer. My mind's breaking. But think about it. Does Juanita Broderick get half the coverage of Christine Blasey Ford? Do you even know this current accuser's name? Stormy Daniels. Thank you. No one said it yet, but I'm sure you thought of it. Stormy Daniels, famous, right? That crazy crackpot that said that, who has a lawsuit now. Now no one knows her name yet, but I think they all know she's a crackpot. Anyway, also on the Tuesday Thoughts. Oh, this is a Trump derangement syndrome one. Real Donald Trump ranked the worst. Oh, no, the whole thing flipped on me. Hang on. Let's go back to the top here. Why does it keep doing this? What the hell happened there? It's okay. I see the Tuesday Thoughts is updating. All right, let's find one good Tuesday thought and we'll move on. Oh, Donnie Wahlberg. The Right Stuff. Famous former New Kid on the Block member and television and movie star Donnie Wahlberg part owner of Wahlburgers. Have you ever had a Wahlburger? They're actually pretty damn good. Anyway, Donnie Wahlberg says, they say we won't rush back to the things we used to do. That sounds like a song. You know, doesn't it sound like a line in a song? They say we won't rush back to the things we used to do. Maybe we won't rush back doing things carelessly like we used to, but I believe a lot of us can't wait to spend time together and spend time doing what we love to do, only with a newfound gratitude. Hashtag gratitude. Hashtag Tuesday thoughts. I think that's a great Tuesday thought, and I'm going to leave it at that. Let's move on. Now, Zayla, someone named Zayla is trending, and it says, happy birthday, Zayla. Every once in a while, someone gets on Twitter and says, hey, my daughter or son, it's their birthday and it's shitty for them to be isolated. So here's the one for today. Today, my daughter Zayla turns 9. She's a very social kid, but school has been closed for more than a month. She says that distance learning is all the boring parts of school and none of the fun parts. If you have a moment, could you wish her a happy birthday? Thank you. Someone named Max Kennedy. Well, I'll tell you what. If you want to wish Zayla a happy birthday and you're on Twitter, there you go. There's the I put the tweet in the chat. All right, moving on. And apparently a lot of people are saying happy birthday, Zayla, giving pictures of dogs with bubbles. Oh my gosh, look at that. That's kind of funny. And a lot of people, whenever people do this and people start sending happy birthday wishes, they always put pictures of their damn pets. I've never figured that out. Not that one. That's actually Zayla. But okay, so happy birthday, Zayla. Moving on. Tuesday morning, we'll skip that. Dictator Trump, which was trending number 1 this morning before the show. No, man animal. Not Marky Mark. Not Marky Mark. Marky Mark was, it's such a good vibration. Come on. That's the other Wahlberg. Donnie Wahlberg was in New Kids on the Block. Oh, the right stuff. He was the kind of the thug one. He played the thuggy guy of the New Kids on the Block, the bad boy. He doesn't look like a bad boy. But anyway, so yeah, get your Wahlberg straight. Come on now. All right, Dictator Trump. Let's see this is hilarious. Maybe we'll get a Krasenstein tweet. RB Pundit thinks it's funny, LOL. Hashtag Dictator Trump is trending, which is hilarious because the criticism until now is that he wasn't acting like a dictator in January and should have closed the country down back then. Hell yeah. That's the thought of the day. Matt Walsh, who's sometimes a douche and sometimes says some good things. I see Dictator Trump is trending. How about Dictator Whitmer? She just banned residents of Michigan from inviting their own family members into their homes. Even Kim Jong-un never thought of making a law like that. The woman is a dictatorial trailblazer. Yeah, she, in Michigan, you can't even buy you can't even buy seeds for a food garden. What the She's like going down to specific products you can and can't buy during the Corona apocalypse. It's a little bit silly. Anyway, quite frankly says, see, the problem here is that the governors should have always been on their own, including in having a way to sustain a voluntary shutdown of their state economies. You can't shut down your state and ask the president for cash. Hashtag Dictator Trump. And I'm going to finish with Robert De Niro on this one because, Robert De Niro is never unhinged. Here we go. If Trump had captained the Titanic, and he puts out this meme. Let's see about this one. If Donald Trump had captained the Titanic, there is no iceberg. We won't hit an iceberg. I knew it was an iceberg before anyone else knew. No one knows icebergs better than I do. The Penguins brought the icebergs here. No one would have predicted the iceberg. We can't allow an iceberg to stop our ship. The crew is spreading fake news about icebergs. Some of you have to drown. I'm the best captain. Ask anyone. Well, hey, dipshit, whoever made this meme. The iceberg came up suddenly and put the ship under the sea.
Wow.
So anyway, it's always and we never did go through this stupid answer. You know what? You've all seen it. You can go look this one up yourself. Moving on. You went. Okay. You wanted you have the 2020 hindsight where he should have been a dictator in January and February, but now that he's considering open the country, he's a dictator because he says he can open the country under the Emergency Powers Act. Y'all fucking make up your minds. Holy shit. All right, moving on. King Trump is trending right after Dictator Trump. Let's see what's happening on King Trump. He does not. I don't know if he does or not. I just saying that's what they, and I don't agree. In fact, I don't think he can overrule states who want to keep their states closed. But he can certainly make the recommendation, make something, what's a good word for it? Let me think here. Non-binding, but that is the recommendation. And if states open up and don't open up, I don't know what, I guess we'll have to see what the legal rationale is for this, and I'm curious because I personally don't think he can, but I'm just laughing at the fact that they wanted him to be a dictator in February. You should have shut down the country. Now they don't want him to be a dictator in April. We want to open the country. We don't want to open the country. You're going to kill everybody. You're going to do this. You do that. King Trump. Free thinking 2019. Now this sounds like a Twitter account that would be, open-minded and free thinking. Wait a minute. King Trump, treasonous traitor. And he quotes Abraham Lincoln, which you never know if this is really a quote from anybody when you see quotes like this. But anyway, we the people are rightful masters of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who pervert the Constitution. And there's some Supreme Court decisions. Never mind, I'm not going to go there. Here it is. Let's see. So Lindsey Graham, we voted to acquit President Trump on February 6th. During that time, Democrats were making witness requests, which, if they had been granted, would have extended the trial through most of February. Very sad, very dangerous. And this lady says, it was February 5th, Senator, making more excuses for needlessly letting Americans die. Fuck right off. You know what? That's the other thing. Do any of these people ever look around the world a little bit? Do you know what's happening in the rest of the world? Do you? Nimi Thang, whatever the hell that says? Chris? By the way, when we talk about people on Twitter, I would appreciate it if you please do not harass anyone that we talk about on Twitter. Please, if you're gonna, you can go be respectfully disagree with them and whatever, but don't use my name. So we watched Trump golf. We watched his 6 rallies, his trips to Mar-a-Lago, all in February. Yeah, so he doesn't have a phone and a pen. I think he does have a pen. Lennon McCartney, how you doing? I'm so happy that you dropped by. I see you all the time in HB stream, so I recognize the name. Anyway. Amy Vanderpool. Oh, yes. Amy, by the way, if you don't know who Amy Vanderpool is, she's a writer, a lawyer, a quipster, related to Audrey Hepburn. She writes, she owed something, blah, blah, contributed to The Independent and BBC. She says, Trump said yesterday that his power to reopen the states was absolute and granted to him by the Constitution. He is wrong. Here's a legal breakdown of exactly why he's wrong. Plus, when Liz Cheney won't even back you up, you've got issues. Okay, fine. Here, if you want to see what that is, I'm not going to look at it right now, but I did open it sideways on another tab. There's her rationale. And you know what? I don't disagree with her, but she's coming from a perspective of everything I say is because I hate Trump, where I just want to know, what's the actual answer. Okay. Moving on. Beyond that, Captain Bligh is trending. Why in politics? Is this something to do? Mutiny on the Bounty was about the ruthless, unjust, tyrannical Captain Bligh of the HMS Bounty, who shackled his own crew and tortured so many of his own men that they mutinied against him. It's fascinating that Trump sees himself as Captain Bligh. It's quite terrifying. Tell the Democratic... Okay, so that's because whenever Trump tweets, something about it trends, and here it is. Tell the Democratic governors that the Mutiny on the Bounty was one of my all-time favorite movies. A good old-fashioned mutiny every now and then is an exciting and invigorating thing to watch, especially when the mutineers need so much from the captain. Too easy. Okay, whatever. I don't know. If Trump tweets it, it will trend. Moving on. Dune is trending because there is a remake of the movie Dune. If you're familiar with that movie or the book or this whatever, they're going to make it again. And because the the original Dune, which I don't remember who was in it. I know that Sting was the villain. But if you watch it now, it looks so dated, and the CGI or whatever it's called is terrible by today's standards. So if they remake it, it could be interesting. Who knows? I don't care. Hank Steinbrenner's trending. Hank Steinbrenner had turned 63 earlier this month. I was told he died at home in Clearwater after a long illness. That was not COVID-19 related. I bet you it's COVID-19 on his death certificate, though. If you know what I'm saying. A terrible New York Yankees co-owner Hank Steinbrenner passes away at age of 63. So rest in peace, Hank Steinbrenner. And of course, the first picture they put up was him smoking a cigarette. Never forget this man's immortal words. Go anywhere in America and you won't see Red Sox hats and jackets. You'll see Yankees hats and jackets. This is Yankee country. I'm not a Yankee fan, but I do respect the franchise. I do respect the team, the players they put together. Of course, they bought it all, but that's okay. Cade Mutiny. Okay, we're going to skip that. Bounty, that's related to Trump's tweet. Former President Barack Obama is trending. Barack Obama. He's going to endorse Joe Biden. Finally, he's going to, Barack Obama, to endorse Joe Biden in a video on Tuesday, AP sources say. Oh, well, okay, that's why Barack's trending. It's about time, I guess. Hey, wait until now. Okay, let me ask you this. If you thought there was any chance that Bernie Sanders would endorse Joe Biden before Barack Obama, put a 1 in the chat. If you thought that sounds like a fever dream, put any other number in the chat. Okay. So now apparently all these things different captains and stuff are trending because he mentioned Captain Bligh or Mutiny on the Bounty, whatever. Liz Cheney's trending because because of something she said on Twitter. And doesn't look like, I wonder how many people attacking Liz Cheney because of her dad would be comfortable being judged because of and by theirs. Okay. I'm not sure what she said. Has any Republican elected official besides Liz Cheney come out and condemn this? Where are all the constitutional conservatives hiding? That's where he's talking about. I want to see what she wrote herself, though. And nobody seems to be quote tweeting it. Mark Jacob, it's annoying to see people like Jonathan Turley and Liz Cheney who have actively supported Trump's march towards autocracy. X to doubt. Anyway, acting all Lexington Conquer because Trump actually said what he's obviously thinking. Where is Liz Cheney's quote? Anyway, here it is. The federal government does not have absolute power. The power is not delegated to the United States by the Constitution nor prohibited by it to the states, are reserved to the states respectively or to the people. That's the United States 10th Amendment to the Constitution. And I agree with Liz Cheney here. You know what? Unless there's some weird provision about something, emergency powers, but I don't think so. I don't think that, there's no such thing as absolute power in our government. That's why there's 3 branches to check the other 2. All right, that's why Liz Cheney's trending. Finish up here. Let's see. Did Liz Cheney move? Oh my God. Okay. John Wilkes Booth is trending. Okay, here's a test, chat. Here we go. Here's your test for the day. I'm going to go back because John Wilkes Booth shot Abraham Lincoln 155 years ago today. And when we go back to this hashtag at the end, I want you to make a prediction. How many tweets will I need to scroll before there's a reference to President Trump in the John Wilkes Booth hashtag? You know what I'm saying? Some of these people are deranged. Pick a number. How many tweets do I need to scroll in the John Wilkes Booth hashtag before a reference to President Trump pops up? I'll do that at the end of the Twitter trends. Okay, get your numbers ready. Throw them in the chat. All right, Sierra and Russell, something about who cares? Is this something about Sierra and Russell are expecting they're going to have a baby boy. At this point, have accepted that their joy is my joy. So Russell Wilson and Sierra, the singer, whatever, they're going to have a baby. Number 3, they got another baby on the way. Okay, big deal. I'm not big into the celebrity shit. Nick Richards from the NBA is trending. Let's see here. Nick Richards has declared for the draft. Oh, I see. He's declared for the draft and plans to forego his eligibility. He's a player at the University of Kentucky. Pretty damn good basketball player. He's decided to be in the NBA draft. Okay, yippee. If you're a Kentucky fan, you probably not think it's cool, but there you go. Happy birthday, Theo. Probably another one of these. My kid is having I saw a happy birthday, Theo trending and thought it was for Theo Aloysius Huxtable. I couldn't believe it was October 21st already. Nope. Yep, here it is. So it's another kid who has a birthday that they got to stay at home. And so everyone's wishing happy birthday to Theo. A couple more, and we're going to get to that hashtag. Mama Coco is number 20, and then we'll go back to the John Wilkes trend here. Mama Coco. Let's see. Bidding farewell to characters you love can hit hard. Okay, bro, I was about to sleep and saw Mama Coco trending. Do y'all want me to cry myself to sleep? Because I will. Apparently, this is a thread of, here it is. Here it is. Here's how it came up. Which death hit you the hardest? Okay, Iron Man, Mama Coco, The Lion King, or the old dude in Up? Okay, and that's why Mama Coco's trending. I guess all 4 of them are trending. All right, now, let's go back to the question of the day. How many tweets on the hashtag John Wilkes Booth will we have to scroll before we see a reference to Donald Trump? Meaning something in the order of some bullshit like we need our own John Wilkes Booth or something like that. I know it's going to be there. We just got to see how many. So here we go. Top of the trends. Still the same 155 years a day. 155 years ago today, John Wilkes Booth shot Abraham Lincoln, setting in motion a long chain of events that would one day give us National Treasure Book of Secrets. So somehow they got Nicolas Cage involved. That's like doing a what's the 6 Degrees of Separation game we do with who's that actor? I don't know. Anyway, is it just me or does John Wilkes Booth look like Jared Kushner? Close, but not the word Trump. Let's see. The third one. I'm going on third. Here we go. Just 5 days after General Robert E. Lee's surrender to Lieutenant General Ulysses S. Grant, President Abraham Lincoln is assassinated by John Wilkes Booth, a famous actor, while watching the play Our American Cousin at Ford's Theater in Washington, D.C. That's 3. Number 4. As you can imagine, it's hurtful to see John Wilkes Booth trending on Twitter. I need to see that like I need to see a hole in the head. Oh well, I guess Mary and I will try to find a comedy to see tonight. Take our minds off everything. Suggestions welcome. That is tweeted by Abraham Lincoln himself. Thank you, sir, Mr. President. Global Diplomat says, on this day in 1865, just after the effective end of the American Civil War, U.S. President Abraham Lincoln was shot by John Wilkes Booth while attending production at Ford's Theater. Blah, blah, blah. That's 5. If you have 5, you're still not in it. Number 6, by Groucho 2.0, John Wilkes Booth shot President Lincoln at Ford's Theater. Interesting coincidence. Lincoln had a secretary named Kennedy. Kennedy had a secretary named Lincoln. Trump is an asshole. If you had 6, you are the winner. Ding, 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 ding. Whoops, that's the wrong one. Let's try the bell now. MC, are you here, by the way? I have a regular on the show, MC, and he's the only one who has his own sound effect, which is hammer time. Anyway, all right. If you had 6, you win. Okay, all right. All right, gang, that's it. If you are new here, I can't tell you how excited I am to have you here. This might have been the largest okay. This might have been the largest crowd I think I've ever had on the Morning Night Live. Something like that. Last time HB was on my show, he comes on my show occasionally, and we laugh about a lot of shit. And I had a big show one time when I was here, and I had one on my birthday last year too. But this is great. If you haven't subscribed yet, if you like what we do, whatever. One, if you haven't subscribed yet, hit the subscribe button right now while you're thinking about it, and hit that bell thing when it pops up so you get notifications. You can also follow me at PDawg Night right down there. Twitter, mine's Gab. Also, hit the like button if you haven't done that yet on the way out the door. And remember, the Morning Night Live sponsored by viewers like you. If you'd like to help the show financially, you can do that through the Streamlabs link at PDawgNight.live. That thing right there, it's always in the chat. It's in the description down below, and that is it. So, ladies and gentlemen, this has been a lot of fun. Although there was no way to keep up with the chat today. I don't know how some of these people do it. But this is awesome. Hope you guys come back tomorrow. I'm here Monday through Friday, 10 o'clock Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, 2 p.m. GMT, Monday through Friday. Again, thanks for being here. But I gotta go. My name is PDawg Night, and I'm out of here. Have a fantastic day. Bye-bye. Hey, this is PDawg Night, and thank you for watching today on the PDawg Night channel. If you have an observation or remark you'd like to make about this video or my channel, I absolutely welcome you to write it in the comments section down below. I really look forward to hearing from you. And before you go, if you like what you saw but you're not already subscribed, please make sure you hit the subscribe button and definitely click that bell that pops up afterward so you'll be notified when I post new videos or when we go live. I broadcast my live show, The Morning Night Live, Monday through Friday at 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central. A special thank you to all supporters of this channel who share our videos on social media and who make donations through the Streamlabs link, which is also in the description down below. Thanks again, and until next time, I'm PDawg Night, and I'm out of here.